if you noticed, right off the jump, what was Michelle doing? Front leg side kick to the knee, every time. So you might ask yourself, what happened to that? What happened to Joanna not being able to push forward? Joanna was coming off with jabs and crosses. Joanna uses her 1-2 most of the time mainly as just an entrance to close distance. She's not even necessarily trying to land it. She's just trying to cover up that empty space in between her and her opponent so that she can get in close and start landing her beautiful and brutal combinations. So what did Joanna, my foot was a balloon, Jedrzejczyk, use to counter the immediate front leg side kick? Because this read came in the first 15 seconds of the fight. And I assume it's something that her coaches pressed on her because she did it even more so at the start of round 2. She started kicking that leg. Instead of coming in with 1s and 2s and being heavy on that front leg and getting front leg side kick to that knee, instead, she was attacking the lead knee. She didn't give Michelle that entrance, that forward momentum so that Michelle could use that train-on-train collision to increase the damage on that front leg side kick to the knee. Now, if you're wondering what train-on-train is, real quick, it's not what you're thinking it is. Get your mind out of the gutter. A train-on-train-esque collision in fighting is when your momentum as a person is going in the same direction that the opposing punch or strike is coming. So the most powerful strike that you can land is when I'm moving this way and your punch comes this way, or if I'm moving straight and your punch comes straight, if I'm moving right and your punch comes from here. Any way that you can land a punch that goes into the way that your opponent's momentum is going to deal that much more damage. Transfer kinetic energy, a head-on, train-on-train collision. So that's what Joanna did. Joanna started tearing up the lead leg, tearing it up. And a couple times, if you notice, Michelle would check a couple. And then what would Joanna do? She'd kick to the body, fake a little kick to the leg, throw a little baby one, 25%, immediately come back up to the body, come back up to the head, look at the face, kick the legs, look at the legs, kick the legs, look at the legs, kick the body. She was doing fantastic. If you guys listen to the commentary, Trevor Whitman actually broke down that Joanna was looking at the legs, kicking the leg, looking at the legs, kicking the body, looking at the legs, kicking the legs again. Normally what happens is if I'm rudimentary. In comparison to these girls, I'm rudimentary. I'll look at the legs just to throw a strike to the head, and that's where it stops for me. Joanna, the entire fight, was looking at one area and throwing 3 different levels at that area to offset Michelle's ability to predict what's coming. So instead of Michelle just looking at the body and the body language and where it's going, Michelle now, has an added factor of what she has to think about, which is, where is Joanna looking? She can't not see that. She can't not look at that. She can't not see it. Her brain has to take where Joanna's looking into account. And since Joanna was doing such a good job of changing it up and not going to the same elevational strike, even though she's looking there, it was a masterful performance that offset every bit of Michelle's attack. Now, Michelle, off top, at the beginning, was trying to clinch her, get her down. We saw her climb up the back, lock up the hooks in the rear naked choke a couple of times. But you want to send in the lead up to this that she's going back to her Muay Thai roots. So you have to understand that she's been working a lot of clinch work. Every time they got up against the fence, Michelle would get turned, and all of a sudden her back's up against the fence. You want to hit her a couple times in the body with weak hands, then come up top with the elbow. Would secure the underhook, which is the way that you can stop your opponent from dropping elevation. If my arm's right here and your arm is up under this arm, I can't drop my elevation without getting past your arm. That's where the underhook comes into play. That's why you always hear people say, fight for the underhook. Because if I don't want you to take me down, I want to be able to control you versus vice versa. I need that underhook. Now, you can control people with whizzers, double overs. You can control people with any sort of lock. Don't let anybody tell you different. But a strong person that's trying to take you down, your best defense, especially up against the cage, is that underhook. She secured the underhook and fought off the right side. Joanna, my foot was a balloon, Jedrzejczyk. Also, I don't know if Michelle's corner knew that her foot was a balloon. I don't. Either that or she's very, very professional and sportsmanlike, because with her foot that blown up, if we're up against the cage, if we're clinching up against the cage, you've heard of foot stomps. You might think they're BS. I've seen fighters get their feet broken from foot stomps before, and especially when your foot is already broken, that foot stomp is going to make her change what she's doing immediately. I was really expecting to see some foot stomps on her, but they must not have known. Let's go back. Let's backtrack to Joanna getting off first and not letting Michelle use that opposite momentum to her favor with that front leg side kick to the knee. That, also known as the oblique kick, is something that's trained a lot at Greg Jackson's gym. Figures. John Jones uses it a lot. It's one of the kicks that people kind of wonder if it should be illegal or not to use. Once again, Michelle said it. Every time that she would go to change distance, Michelle was getting flustered with defensive options instead of being an offensive mind trap, because Joanna was just consistently banging those legs with her foot, with her shin, kneeing her in the body. She kicked her so hard she broke her foot. And I don't know if that was on a good check. There was a check in the third round that looked really, really scary to me. And I mean, a perfect check off the foot. Joanna immediately went to the body and then right back down to the leg after that. It could have been from that, but regardless, the leg kicks are what caused that foot to break. Whether it was from a check, whether it was from kicking with the foot instead of the shin, which is what it definitely was. But if it was off of a knee or an elbow, or all of it, cumulative damage on the leg of Michelle Waterson and on the foot of Joanna. Before I even I saw the foot was a balloon in between the fourth and the fifth round when the camera zoomed in on the ice pack that was on the foot of Joanna. I was thinking up until that point, you know, leg kicks do damage. They really do. But unless you're hitting every single leg kick perfect with the shin, which is, unless your timing's perfect and your opponent's standing still and your distance is perfect, you're going to have some pretty poor landing leg kicks that do damage to you too. It's not a one-way street. If you're bouncing your bone off of somebody else's bones, both bones are going to take damage. Now, of course, I would rather be the one giving the leg kick than taking it, but it takes a bit out of both of you. That's why if you notice in the fifth round, Joanna threw one serious leg kick. About a minute in, threw one. Just one. The rest of it, she was throwing the front leg switch kick, which is where you switch your stance from front foot forward to back foot forward so that you can load up that leg to throw it with power or speed. With girls of that striking magnitude, they don't even really have to switch to build up power and speed. It's just part of their game at that point. They can do a non-switch lead leg kick wherever they want, have just as much power as it would. What are you doing? Something that surprised me is the way that Joanna chose to defend that first rear naked choke. And I think I know why, but she still went opposite of the jiu-jitsu teaching. Most people, when they're getting choked with the rear naked choke around the neck, the corner of the arm is right here. So I'm choking myself, but can you imagine someone else is choking me? This is where the choke is locked up at. They will fight at this elbow to try to break it off, when in reality, this hand being locked up is the point of leverage of which you need to break to get out of that choke. So most people will do what's called a baseball grip, 2-on-1, two hands on one, break the top arm down, not the one that's choking them, the one that has it locked in behind the head or on the top of the head, bend it straight down, put it to the opposite end of their body, and turn in. Joanna eventually did that, but at first, she was pushing up on the hands. Most people will try to dig their fingers in to create space. You're helping them choke you, realistically. Unless they're an idiot, you're helping them choke you there. But she was pushing up. So I think the reason why she chose to do that, because she's a smart girl, is because maybe it wasn't completely locked in around the neck. And she knew that if she went to go 2-on-1, the opposite arm, in that meantime, Michelle would have time to fully lock that up around the neck. So she was just trying to maintain the space that was already there in between her neck, waiting for Michelle to make a mistake, slip a little bit, wait for it to explode. Those are some scary moments for Joanna. Some very scary moments. Twice she got her back crawled up, and twice she successfully defended it and got out. Masterful performance. Her counter game plan in the moment, 15 seconds into the fight, immediately switching up her game plan to be able to offset what her opponent was doing. That's a level of striking knowledge ingrained to you that you guys have no idea. Because it's one thing for me to sit here and talk to you guys and break this down with 20/20 vision after it happened, but let me tell you from firsthand experience, when you're in a fight, especially when you haven't been in many, and I've been in 50, 60 street fights, scrapped a lot as a kid, took a lot of damage, not smart. But those 50, 60 street fights, they did nothing for me in MMA in terms of competition, being experienced in competition. They did nothing for me. It allowed me to be knowing how to fight. I know how to fight. I can fight because I fought a lot. But being able to, it did nothing for me being able to be calm enough in the situation, yet alert and on fire enough to respond with equal intensity while thinking about what I'm doing. That's another thing that fighters get off track on. Most fighters, me included, we kind of have to be in some sort of a zone. I have to be a little bit mad. I have to be in killer mode. And the second that I kind of start thinking about what I have to do strategically, tactfully against my opponent in the moment, it takes me out of that killer mode a little bit. So what they're doing in there, especially with their counter game plans, how they're countering each other, the immense game of human chess that you're seeing throughout these fights, even in the women's division. You guys need to take a closer look. You guys need to back up fights, see patterns, understand, wow, they started doing this when they weren't doing this before. Why would they be doing that? What in their opponent's game caused them to do that? Is it freak luck? Did the corner see something? Or do they see a hole? Joanna saw a hole, Michelle. She saw her trying to attack her lead leg, so instead she attacked Michelle's lead leg first, which in tune set up the hands, because what was she doing? Waiting to block the kicks. So when Joanna would come in with that normal burst style that got her messed up against Rose, that got her dropped against Claudia Gadelha, that's caused her issues and success in the past, she turned it on and off. Most times she just was in that burst, but she turned it on and off tonight. She went from being the long range, tactful, 2-punch at a time striker to immediately throwing an 8-punch combination when Michelle was least expecting it. Hats off to both ladies. Thanks for the study material. Oh guys, wait, before you go, by the way, hold on, don't click off that video. If you guys have questions, anything you want me to break down, I'll make a video response specifically for you, breaking down the comments. Nick with Combat Sports World, I'm getting up out of here.